Do you know what is the most hated federal agency in America? It's the IRS. See, nobody likes to pay taxes or be hounded by IRS for small mistake. One solution that has been proposed is to repeal the IRS and replace the current tax system with a fair tax code. With the fair tax code, you get to keep 100% of the income that you earn. A new consumption-based tax system is introduced where you pay taxes for any product or services that you buy. So government makes it tax money without anybody having to file taxes or having an agency like IRS to track, collect, and audit the tax returns. With a simple fair tax code, along with IRS, will repeal the income tax, the alternate minimum tax, corporate and business income tax, capital gain tax, social security tax, Medicare tax, self-employment tax, estate tax. How would this happen? Is it even possible? Stay on to find out. Fair tax would abolish all federal taxes. Everyone will get to keep 100% of the income that they earn without having to pay taxes on that. Instead, consumers would start paying about a 23% tax on everything that they buy. In theory, the fair tax is revenue neutral to the government. They get to collect the same tax revenue as they collect today. It would bring transparency and simplify the way taxes are collected. Here are the key principles of the fair tax code. Keep full 100% of the paycheck that you earn. Pay taxes on the goods and services that you buy. Everyone pays their fair share. No underground economy, no tax avoidance. Poor are taken care of. An advance rebate of the taxes paid to them for the basic necessity of life. Programs like Social Security and Medicare are still funded and their benefits remain unchanged. And IRS is abolished. To understand the fair tax code, we kind of need to understand why the current tax code is unfair. By the way, what is also unfair is you not subscribing to this channel. Please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to this channel. Do you know that the framers of the United States Constitution stated in the first draft that the citizens should not be subjected to any direct taxation? While some temporary taxations was done to help pay for the Civil War, there was no direct taxation on US citizens till 1914. In 1913, the 16th Amendment to the United States Constitution was passed that allowed the government to levy taxes. Before that, there were no taxes. Even after that amendment was passed, due to generous deductions and exceptions, less than 1% of the total population really paid any taxes. But as it always happens, the politicians gradually expanded the tax code to include more and more citizens. And today, we all pay taxes, each and every one of us. Yes, even the poor and the homeless. I'll explain. Do you remember how much taxes you paid last year? Or do you rather remember the refund that you received while filing your taxes? See, it's a very clever trick used by the government and the IRS that lets you focus on the refund that you received, whereas in reality, a large portion of your earning is being taken away from you in form of taxes. It's the concept of withholding. The idea of withholding is for government to take all its taxes, the income tax, social security tax, Medicare tax, out of your paycheck, even before letting you see what is left of your paycheck after paying the tax. So if the public doesn't see the taxes that they are paying, if they don't have to actually pay the taxes, they don't understand it much and they don't complain about it much. I have another question for you. Don't you think all these big bad businesses should pay their taxes instead of poor people like us? Well, I hate to break it to you. Every tax is paid by individuals like us. The businesses don't pay any taxes. Let me explain. In reality, the big businesses just collect the taxes from individuals on behalf of the IRS and give it to IRS. The tax burden is always on the individual in the form of higher prices for goods and services. If there were no taxes, the same businesses would price their goods and services much lower. So they just add the tax to the price of goods and services that we buy, and they make the consumer pay those taxes. It is generally agreed that of all the products and services that are available to an American consumer, about 22% of the price is added because of the taxes that the businesses have to pay. But then, why does the government and politicians, why do they go through the rules of taxing the big corporation when it's you and me that ends up paying the taxes? Good question. See, it just makes it easier to hide the fact that it's the general population that is paying more and more taxes. Do you remember the fun times every year around April when all of us have to collect our documents, all the tax documents, and talk to our accountants and file our taxes? At least use the tax filing services. Now, depending upon the complexity of your taxes, it can become really complex really fast. Now, depending upon your income sources and types, the tax return process can quickly become very complex. Take my own example. My wife and I have jobs, we have businesses, multiple businesses, real estate investments, stocks, cryptos. What it means is that our tax returns easily run into hundreds of pages, including the worksheet. Now imagine a small business with 50 to 100 people and how complex their tax returns would be. And then imagine a large corporation like Microsoft or Amazon. These companies typically have tax compliance departments consisting of several people, and they spend sometimes millions of dollars in this compliance process. It is estimated that about $500 billion is spent by large corporations every year in just trying to stay compliant to the US tax code. All this waste that goes in trying to stay compliant to the tax code would be done away with if there is no IRS and if there is no income tax. All this wasted money that comes with cost of compliance and cost of IRS would be done away with the implementation of a fair tax code. Our tax code is so complex. Companies who have money to hire top tax experts often end up abusing the tax system. They are able to find loopholes, claim a variety of tax credits that reduce their tax burden significantly. And sometimes they are able to completely avoid paying any taxes. In fact, one study of corporate security filings found that 55 top corporations of America paid no taxes in 2020, despite generating hefty profits, while at the same time claiming tax credits worth $3.5 billion. Among those paying no taxes for 3 years were successful blue chip companies like Nike, FedEx, Salesforce. These two items, tax avoidance and cost of compliance, harm the American economy in a big way. This is the money that should have come into the open market and help stimulate the economy and support job growth. With a fair tax code, all this money would be saved and would be utilized in the economy. The fair tax code aims to create conditions that eliminate both tax avoidance and the cost of compliance. See, when there are no taxes to file, there is no cost of compliance. Pretty simple, yeah? We live in a consumeristic society today. You are encouraged to spend more and more money, even borrow money on credit card, to buy things you don't really need, to impress people you don't really like. This leads to an average consumer increasingly getting into debt. But when the Fair Tax Code introduces a tax on consumption, this can lead to significant changes in the habit of a US consumer. See, with fair tax, you only pay taxes when you spend the money, when you consume the money, not when you earn. Today, the government takes its share of taxes the moment you earn the money. With the Fair Tax Code, you get to keep 100% of the money that you earn. Only when you decide to spend that money, a 23% consumption tax is charged. So if a smart consumer is able to limit the items that she buys, she can save her taxes. This would likely encourage savings and investments and lead to general prosperity. Fair tax also means no taxes for the businesses. So this would encourage more international businesses to relocate into US and increase American international competitiveness. The best part is that the tax avoidance or tax leakage would be fully plugged with the Fair Tax Code. See, even visitors to the country, or for that matter, undocumented workers in this country would be paying this tax, because the tax is collected with every product and service that anybody buys. So this would mean more revenue to the government without putting any additional burden on the current taxpayers. Now, critics of the Fair Tax Code worry that with introduction of a tax, uniform tax on all goods and services would mean that the prices of these goods and services would go up. Let's find out. Consider this example. Here is John. He earns $5,000 gross per month. After taxes are withheld from his salary, he probably gets to keep $4,000 as his take-home salary. Now, if John decides to buy a $10 box of cereal thanks to inflation, it's $10. And now we introduce a fair tax code. Then in theory, this $10 box should now cost about $13, right? The 23% tax. Well, you may think that it sounds like 30% tax, but instead it goes like this. The 23% of say 130 is $30. In reality, it's 23%. 23% of 13 is 3, and hence 23% tax on the final sale value of $13 means you pay $3 taxes and $10 is left with you. It can be a bit confusing, but it will become clear with this another example. Consider somebody whose salary is $171,000 today. The person pays 32% of $171,000, which is their salary, which in this case comes to $54,720. So the net take home for this person is about $116K. Now back to the fair tax. You pay 23% tax on everything that you buy. But remember that hidden taxes constitute 22% of the price of anything that we buy today. When fair tax is introduced, in theory, business should be able to take this 22% off and reduce it from the base price of the item. So the same cereal box should now cost $8.2 instead of the $10 as its base cost. And then when John has to pay 23% tax on top of that $8.2, the new price of the cereal box becomes $10.65, marginally higher than the $10 that John pays today. But remember, now instead of his take-home salary of $4,000, John gets to keep the entire $5,000 gross that he earns. So he pays a little extra, but he gets to keep a lot more extra. So critics worry that for poor household, this may mean an additional burden of taxes that they don't have today. Because today many poor households, if they have very low income, pay no tax. It's a fair concern. See, the fair tax code is fair but not cruel. It does propose to take care of those in the society that really need help. This is how it will be done. The fair tax code has a provision to send an prebate or advance refund of taxes to every household in America. This, in a way, is a refund on the consumption tax that they will pay for buying basic necessities of life. So nobody pays any taxes for the basic necessities. Here is how it is going to work. Assume that there is a family of 4. In 2023, the income that is considered below poverty level for a family of 4 is about $30,000. So this family would be eligible for a prebate check of 23% of $30,000, which is $6,900 per year or $575 per month. So if you have 4 members in a household and you earn $100,000 instead of $30,000, you still receive a prebate check of $575. So every family in America receives this prebate item, and in effect, nobody pays taxes on basic necessities of life. Aren't that awesome? So if everything is good about the fair tax code, why has it not been implemented yet? Well, this type of tax code takes away power from the hands of the politician. They can no longer make changes to the tax code to help the big businesses and big donors that they have. They can no longer win elections by fomenting trouble between different classes of population and with slogans like tax the rich. That, my friend, is the reason that there are fewer takers for this type of tax code. My goal with starting this new channel is to bring knowledge and transparency to you. If you found value in this video, please consider giving me a like and subscribing to this channel so that the YouTube algorithm takes it to more people. My next video would be about how you can become a millionaire by taking advantage of the current tax code. If you would like to be notified when that video is up, give a like to this video and subscribe to this channel. See you soon.